So here's a question I'm going to pose to you guys. I'm Sage Valentine for those of you that don't know. Who do you think Negan killed? Here is my theory. I believe that Negan is sticking to his code, like the comic book code, where he is anti-killing women, anti-killing children, and anti-rape, and he's not going to kill any of the women. I also believe that whoever is going to die, or has died, is from the original Atlanta 5. And I also believe that said person was in that van. So that basically leaves us with two options, Daryl or Glenn. I mean, it could be either one. I believe that they will more than likely kill Glenn because they've been foreshadowing it for the past couple weeks, in the past couple episodes, in the past couple seasons. But it could quite possibly be Daryl at this point. I mean, it could be anybody. People have been writing petitions talking about they wanted to get Scott Gimple fired as showrunner because they didn't like season 6, they didn't like the direction that it went, and they didn't like the cliffhanger. And I was thinking, and I was like, if Scott Gimple gets fired, then a new showrunner will pop up, and that will be the 4th showrunner. And that showrunner will also receive a crap load of vitriol from the fans, especially if they don't like how he or she puts together season 7, because season 7 is a very tricky season, because All Out War from the comic books is a very awesome story arc, but it's very tricky, it seems like, to portray it on TV because of the fact of the things that happen. And then there's the whole thing with Negan and cussing, and he's known for saying the F word, and unfortunately it seems like AMC would not allow him to say the F word. But I was reading a blog post about the season 6 DVD, and they claim there's going to be another cut of that final scene from the season finale where Negan is just going to cuss up a storm, F words flying from everywhere, and I can't wait to see that. Speaking of Negan, for those of you guys that don't know, Image Comics is putting out this catalog, I guess, of all the comic books and stuff that are coming and everything. But anyway, they're going to include a few pages of this, I believe it's 48-page Negan standalone comic in each catalog each month. So it's literally going to be 4 pages in each catalog. The catalog, I think, costs $1.99 a month or something like that. And I also learned that season 7 is going to include an episode or so about Negan. And from what I gathered from the different blogs, it seems like they're going to give us Negan's point of view. I'm assuming it's probably going to be an episode of Negan preparing to deal with the group. Negan, each time he learned that different parts of his group were killed, the people on the road, the people in the building that were sleeping, and the people who were, the people, Pamela and all of them that were in that building that was actually the same building that they used in the movie Saw. And we'll probably get an origin story all about Negan, and I hope we do, because out of all the baddies so far, and I'm not talking about Alpha yet, because we barely met that chick. She's crazy, but we barely met her. But so far as the TV show is concerned, we know more about the other bad guys than we do about Negan. So it's going to be very interesting to learn about him. Quite a few people have said that they're going to boycott those episodes, but I don't think so, because I don't believe that those episodes are going to be like the Governor's episodes, or they're going to be like Morgan's episodes. I feel like those episodes are really going to scratch the surface all about Negan. I also heard that in the season premiere of season 7 that we are going to learn who Negan killed. Now, some people are going online saying that that's not going to happen. They're going to make us wait for 2 or 3 episodes. I believe, if memory serves, that Scott Gimple mentioned it. I'm not sure if Robert Kirkman did, but Scott Gimple mentioned it or inferred to it on The Talking Dead. And if you haven't watched last week's episode of The Talking Dead, you definitely should, because they said that in the mid-season finale there are clues to who was killed by Negan, and to me those clues look like it all pointed towards Glenn. And speaking of that again, quite a few people believe that Michonne is the female, if there's a female, that will die by the hands of Negan. But as I said before, I think Negan's going to stick to that code. And if you read the comic books, you understand that brief exchange between Michonne and Negan and how Michonne was looking at him. And from what I've gathered after reading the comic books, and yes, I'm up to issue number 153. It was a hell of an issue. And that ending, I knew it was coming. I knew it. But anyway, if you read the comics, you understand that Negan says something to Michonne along the lines of, and yes, this is a comic book spoiler, but it's not a big one. It's like a little teeny tiny ant-like comic book spoiler. Whereas he says to her, there's so many things that I would like to do to you, but killing is the last thing on the list. It's still on the list. Meaning he's not done with Michonne. And if you notice with the women, he really didn't linger over the women like Rosita. I mean, he said that he was going to kill Maggie, but here's the kicker. The only reason Negan spoke to Maggie was to figure out who not only cared about her, but who would be foolish enough to react. And I love Glenn. Glenn is my baby, but Glenn got up and Glenn was trying to protect her and charged at Negan, and I don't think that Negan took that lightly. Because another thing about Negan from the comics is that he's always smiling, but his eyes tell a different story. So I really do have to go back and watch that scene, but I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan portrayed that particular aspect of Negan perfectly. And then there were some people online who were questioning Michonne's loyalty because Michonne didn't react when Negan was in Rick's face and Negan was in Carl's face, because Michonne knows that Negan has no idea who is with whom. I mean, he realized after Glenn got up that Glenn obviously cared about Maggie, but beyond that, he didn't know anything about anything. So I think all of that speculation needs to just die off, because Negan has no clue about this group except Glenn and Maggie. That's it. And to question her loyalty, it would be foolish to get up and try to charge this dude. Not only is he crazy, but the second thing was that he is surrounded by men, and I still believe there were men even deeper in that forest, because when they all were whistling Marco Polo, the sound seemed to travel further than that area, so there were a hell of a lot of people there. So some people were like, well, at least some of the people in the group should have gotten up and tried to attack. I said, yeah, and then Negan's people would have taken them all out like they've done previously. But, other than that, I just feel like Chris Hardwick should not have had to sit down and defend the show the way that he did, because people get it. People understand. It's just that some people are really upset about the cliffhanger, and I do believe that after a couple months, they're going to move on to something else, and they will tune in. And those that don't want to tune in will probably eventually end up tuning in down the line, because they'll hear about how awesome Season 7 is going to be. And yes, I'm being positive. So, I guess that's about it as far as this video goes, but petitions don't seem to work as far as AMC is concerned, because people petitioned to bring back Beth, despite the fact that Beth had a hole blown into her head, but people believed To this day, Team Delusional believes that she's still alive. They believe that Morgan found her. They believe that she is a savior, and bless their hearts on that one. But you guys take care. Don't forget to rate this video. Let me know what you think about all the controversy and who you think died by the hands of Negan. Also, what would you like to see in Negan's standalone comic as well as on the show in regards to Negan? Anyway, guys, I love you all. Take care. Bye, guys. Bye.